Good evening and welcome to the January 6, 2026 Town Board meeting, our first of the year. If we could all stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. Dan, would you lead us?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For our moment of silence, I was asked yesterday why our flags were at half-staff. It was a 2-year anniversary of the passing of Tom Diana, who we sorely miss in our town. So if we could have that moment of silence in Tommy's honor, as well as a friend of Tom's, Francis McVetti, who passed away recently and was buried today. Thank you. And Francis was also a member of our senior advisory committee. All right, introductions.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Good evening, Patrick Murphy, Town Council.
Town Supervisor Ed Lachterman.
Deputy Supervisor Sergio Esposito.
Susan Siegel, Councilwoman.
Elon Gilbert, Town Councilman. And if you would bear with me, I just want to say something quickly. It's my first time here.
Okay, did you want to wait for report to the town, or because you got?
I could do that as well.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks, Lonnie. Our attorney could not be here today due to a medical issue, but I am going to call him in, so we do have legal counsel on, just in case. Let me give you my report to the town, and then I'll do that while our officials go. The temporary lines that were on Underhill were just redone today. I know if you drove it, you would notice that they had faded rather quickly, and the paint that they had put over the old lines had come up with the first snowstorm, because it was done right on top of a snowstorm. So they did take care of it today. Looks like they did a great job. I haven't driven up it yet. They just finished this evening, and it's definitely a lot more visible, as I could see it from my office window. Recently, the Northern Westchester Joint Waterworks it was given a settlement for PFAS, which is polyfluoral alkali substances in the water. 1.2 million came from 3M and 197,000 from DuPont. There are 2 other pending lawsuits, and the money here will go into engineering fees and to figure out the treatments. And in addition, they are looking at 2 different solutions for the PFAS. As the law will be changing, we do conform with the laws right now, but eventually there will be a federal and a state change that are going to be very aggressive. The 2 things that we're looking at are a new pipe to the Delaware system, or pressurized tanks that strip the PFAS using activated charcoal. There are concerns with Amawalk being a good supply in the next 100 years due to the salinity issues. So right now, it looks like the one that the board of the Northern Westchester Joint Waterworks wants to look at is the pipe from the Delaware system that would come across 35 and hook up into the Amawalk plant and take care of all of the issues that we're having there. In our efforts to work on getting grant money for the sewer system for Halleck's Mills, I received a phone call earlier today that the Congress has passed an appropriations bill that both of our New York State senators and Congressman Lawler were on board to get us an additional $1.25 million, and they feel that will be signed shortly. And then we will also be looking again, as we have 3 phases of that project to go with. So we're looking to try to hopefully get another submission this year. There are also some newly I'm going to say available tax credits, but really what Albany did was they passed some recommendations without really ways to look at them for the communities, and some of them are very far-reaching tax credits. We will, I've spoken with our assessor, we'll be looking at these, and he will come in and talk to the town board about them. So we'll know as soon as we can what would be feasible for our community. Recreation programs are going to be starting this coming week. You may want to go to the town website to check them out and sign up. There are things for kids to seniors and everyone in between. So that's really a great opportunity. Although one of the areas that some of those programs run in is the Sparkle Lake Clubhouse, and that will actually be undergoing renovations. They're doing some internal painting and going to be doing the floors over the winter. So we'll have a nice spot there for rentals and for the programming. And that's it for me.
All right. I'll go.
Well, actually, why don't we start with Lonnie?
That's fine.
Go on, Lonnie.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to say thank you very much. It's an honor to return to this table. This time as a councilman. I've had the privilege of serving the community before as supervisor and as town judge, and I know the dedication required to serve the people of Yorktown and to make this a great place to live and raise a family. I'm grateful for the trust our residents have placed in me once again, and I look forward to working with my colleagues in the spirit of teamwork, transparency, and common purpose. Together, we'll continue building on Yorktown's strengths, I'm confident, and facing our challenges with respect, openness, and optimism. And again, thank you. I'm very proud to serve the people of Yorktown once more. I have no intention of participating, but as long I know that some of the things that you do here in terms of these statements is you talk about events in the town and everything, and I understand that this coming week is the polar bear plunge. I have no intention of participating.
Take one for the team. Come on.
But I just wanted to publicize it.
Don't worry. Susan said she was going in your stead.
Okay.
Susan's jumping in.
But that's my one
Great.
public service announcement.
There are limits to our service.
We'll come back around this way. Susan, you could go next.
Okay. First of all, I want to wish everybody a healthy and happy New Year. At my age, I put healthy before happy, you'll notice. Ed, thank you for giving the update on the Amawalk situation. I had emailed you about that because I had heard from a third party that there was these issues, and I felt it was something that should be shared with the community because the Amawalk is one of our two sources, of water, and there are issues that we do have to deal with. As we start the new year, I would like to share with residents some of the issues that I plan to be working on and focusing on in the first quarter of 2026. The list is basically a combination of unfinished business from 2025 and, in some cases, earlier years, but also some new items. And by no means is it a definitive list. Issues are always kind of cropping up. Some may say that my list is too long and that I should narrow it down to only a few priorities, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I left out any of those issues. They're all priorities for me. Some of the issues affect all residents, others are more local and may only impact the residents of a particular neighborhood. But they're all important when it comes to making Yorktown a desirable and affordable place to live and to protect our quality of life. My colleagues and I may not always agree on how to address every issue, but what's important is that these issues are discussed at open meetings and that our residents have an opportunity to provide input on them. I'll try to keep my comments as brief as possible, and I'll just list the items, but if anybody wants additional information, then please get in touch with me by email or by phone. Some of my carryover issues. Solar, okay? I think you'll see on the agenda that we plan to have a public hearing on January 20th. I hope that we can resolve the issue, at that time. There also may be some issues about the discussions about rooftop solar on town-owned buildings that may be coming up later this month. I'm concerned in following the field home and what we may do with an adaptive reuse of that building. I'm concerned about the 118 Underhill Avenue intersection upgrades and the feasibility of adding those two crosswalks, pedestrian crosswalks that were eliminated, in the improvement plan. And to that, perhaps Supervisor can speak about a grant that I think the town is working on that may or may not include some of that. I also want to take a fresh look at the 2026 law that enacted the 485B tax incentive law, that so far the town of Yorktown and the Yorktown School District have lost $1.7 million in revenue because of that incentive. The town board discussed this last year. They talked about having an update. I think we need to look at that. And then my favorite topic, sewers. He's not here to tell me, Susan, stop talking about sewers, but I can't stop talking about sewers. And actually, there are 4 separate sewer issues. One is creating the sewer district for the operation and maintenance district for the 11 separate peak scale districts. This has been pending since 2023. Also creating the sewer extension district for the Halleck's Mill Sewer District. I'm glad to know that we've gotten some additional money. But believe it or not, that issue's been hanging around since 2016, when the moratorium on connections to the sewage plant was lifted. Also spending the $5.8 million we received in 2021 to upgrade the 4 pump stations. We need more progress on that. And then addressing the problems with the Hunter Brook Sewer District, an issue that's been pending since 2019. On my new items list, the noise law. I think the issues have come up relating to the T-Bar restaurant and at the planning board, and we need to relook at certain sections of the law that we just weren't familiar with. That is an issue when the law was passed. A sign law. There have been lots of concerns about political signs, and I want to work on that, and I will be suggesting some new legislation dealing with these sign laws. Affordable housing, an issue that keeps coming up at our board meetings. Over the past 3 years, we have this board or the planning board has approved 446 units of new housing. Not one of those units has been designated for affordable units. And just as a point of information, a 1-bedroom unit at Underhill Farms, the rental, will rent for $3,485. A 2-bedroom unit will start at $4,500. I think we need something to do about affordable housing, and I know that the Community Housing Board that I'm a liaison to has been working on putting together a draft law to get back some type of set-aside that we had, and it was repealed in 2016. Also, another issue that I've mentioned many times, we need a capital budget, a plan for a capital budget. There's a wish list at the back of the budget book, but all it is a wish list. It has no sense of priorities, and we have to say how much we're willing to spend from our fund balance over the next either 1 to 3 years, and what are our top priorities. Otherwise, we just keep spending ad hoc as issues come up. We need to plan. A new issue that has just surfaced recently is doing something to assure the long-term viability of our ambulance corps, our volunteer ambulance corps, which are struggling, 1, with increased costs, and 2, a decrease in the number of volunteers. And so they're having to go to paid volunteers, and we need a stable, long-term funding system. And we're starting to talk about that, and you may hear more about that at later meetings. Also, steep slopes, an issue I brought up last year. We need to review and look at development on our steep slopes. A large percentage of the Toll Brothers properties was on steep slopes, and contrary to what was said at a previous meeting, we're really not doing the in-depth review of these issues. I think the residents have to understand that while the councilman, such as I, can suggest items to be placed on the agenda, it's actually the supervisor who sets the agenda. So it's my hope that in the coming months, the Supervisor Lachman will add some of these issues to our meeting agendas, even if that means returning to the past practice of holding 4 town board meetings a month, 2 of which would be work sessions where the town board could actually hash out these issues for an in-depth discussion and get the appropriate staff members or outside consultants or residents in to speak with us. We used to have, for those who have watched town board meetings for a long time, there was always 4 meetings a month, 2 regular meetings where we did a lot of resolutions and 2 work sessions. But in 2023, we stopped having that meeting, and I hope we can get back to that, which will be on one of the organizational resolutions later on. There's also something else that that I want to talk about, and that's I'd like to bring up to the public's attention a new study on the effects of fluoride and IQ. If you remember back in October of 2024, when a majority of this town board voted to stop fluoridating our water, the board's decision was based on a study that concluded that fluoride was associated with high levels of fluoride were associated with lower IQs in children, and some board members were concerned about that. And although it was pointed out at the time that the study involved fluoride levels that were higher, double what the fluoride level in Yorktown was, and that also none of those studies involved the United States, okay? The board considered the study relevant for Yorktown. It basically said, and so they didn't do that. At no time during the debate did any board member challenge or dismiss the 50 years of accepted science that documented fluoride's benefits for health. The new study that was released in November of 2025 and was published in a journal called Science Advances, which is the journal of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Okay? Unlike the study that the town board based its decision on, this new study looked at the cognitive ability of children in the United States and also in communities that fluoridated water at the level that we fluoridated in Yorktown. So it's much more relevant to our own experience. Okay. Also, the study was very upfront in acknowledging that no fluoride IQ study to date has ever factored in all of the many factors that go into creating and determining and influencing an IQ. And I see Larry Killian here, who I remember talked at that October hearing and talked about everything that goes into determining IQ. This study found that the fluoride actually had benefits, cognitive benefits, in the adolescents it reviewed. And at the worst, there were no harmful effects to the cognitive thinking of these adolescents as they moved into adulthood. Given that new information that is relevant to Yorktown, not to China or India or Mexico, I'd like to know if this board would like to consider reopening the fluoride question. What's at stake is the health of our children, which is no small matter. And if anyone would like a reference to that new study, just email me or call me, and I will gladly send you a copy of that article. Thank you.
I would just like to correct something, Susan. We did not go by any study. I was quite explicit that we went by a federal court ruling based on they felt that the EAP, was it EAP?
EPA.
Yeah, EPA, thank you. Thank you. Yes, did not do all of the testing and work that they needed to, and they told them to go back and complete the task. So to say that we relied on a study, no. I went by a federal court ruling, which, if you don't remember, when we started this whole debate, we actually ended up turning fluoride back on. And then after the judge's ruling came out, pulled it. So we're not relying on our lack of expertise to determine all of these studies. This was studied by the courts, by the judges for years with a lot of different testimony. So please don't misrepresent that we took a study, interpreted it, and said, yeah, no, we're going to pull it because I think that's right.
You based it on the judge's
Susan,
decision.
The San Francisco judge had years of discovery, and then they had a 2-month trial. So this is not stuff that we just made up and we looked at a thing. If your experts are that good, how come they didn't fly out to California and just put this court case to bed?
The
How
judge
come-
based his decision on the study that was Florida, that was double the level of Yorktown, and
it
did
only
not
affected-
include the United
and
States.
it
And that was
affected
the basis
pregnant
of the
women
judge.
and
I don't
kids
want
under
to. I
two.
don't want. I don't want
When
to
you
debate
do this,
it now.
I don't want to debate it. That means you're guilty.
I'm not
okay?
guilty of anything. I'm just
Let me
asking you
have
to
my
look at a
thing.
new study.
Yeah,
A new
it
study.
doesn't fit your what you want to hear, so you don't want to talk about it.
And you don't want to look at the latest
Why don't you
studies.
have your experts fly to California and put it to bed?
And the EPA and
Okay.
the lawsuit is still pending.
Yeah,
Right.
The
yeah.
EPA appealed it.
And Susan, what I said was when we hear from the EPA differently and the judge, we can look at it again. And I see Larry nodding because he has a very good memory, and I'm sure he remembers my comments. So, but I was quite explicit about it. And I said, people are not going to like me on either side, and if it changes, they're not going to like me. It's going to flip. But you know what? I've held steady on that. I will remain steady on that. But please do not misrepresent what we did.
I just
as
want
this
people
board.
to know that there was a new study that was relevant to York.
That's great, but you went into a lot of detail that wasn't true about how this town board handled it. All right, Mr. Esposito, sorry.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody. I want to thank everyone for allowing me to serve you for one more term. It's truly an honor, and I take it very seriously. So, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank everybody. And for those who didn't vote for me, hopefully I could do better for you guys. So, but again, thank you so much. We did have a grand opening on an empty plot on 202. Dunkin' Donuts built a nice little building there, and it is quite lovely. And I congratulate them and wish them the best of luck. On Saturday, there is a health and wellness fair hosted by the Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber of Commerce. The health and wellness pros looking for more regional reach and real connections. It's January 10th, 2026, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and it's at the Jefferson Valley Mall or the Valley. Moving forward this year, I really want to push on the IT upgrades that we approved for our men and women in blue. I think they're going to actually transition and transform our PD. They're up to snuff with their technology, but this is going to really push them forward. And I'm looking forward to having the discussion with our IT company that's going to be implementing all this stuff, and following it very closely to monitor and push those IT upgrades forward as fast as possible. It really will affect the safety of our police force, and it will allow our police to further provide you with even better safety than they already do. I also want to look at the sound law. We do have some. I think the sound law that we did review, which and pass, gave us monumental strides toward a better version. Before that, our sound law was hardly up to snuff. It hadn't been updated in years and years and years. So I think we need to tweak it a little bit. I definitely want to look at the streetscaping. Some of our areas, some of our hamlets, we could do better there, and I think that's something very important. And we also do have to look at the comprehensive plan. We've been talking about it. It's time to do that. And two other things, I want to continue to push our small businesses forward. They are our economic engine, and I think we've done a fantastic job with getting empty spaces filled. But there's still, and there always will be, and there always is more to do. And lastly, I really wanted us to get to the point where we could get our meeting started a little sooner. I think our reports to the town take entirely too long. It is already 7:54, and I don't think it's respectful to speak for 20 minutes or whatever while you guys are waiting out there. And then sometimes it takes us, it's 9 o'clock before courtesy of the floor comes up. And people get tired and have to go home. They have lives and all this other stuff. But again, I thank you for everything that you guys have done. I appreciate being up here for one more term. Thank you guys so much, and Happy New Year.
So you said that right before me.
What'd I say?
I can't talk. No, I wish everybody Happy New Year's, and happy holidays. Hope everybody enjoyed it with their friends and family. I just want to, honestly, I'll make it short and sweet. I want to acknowledge, Tommy Diana, we miss him, and Frank McVetti. Both of them been in Yorktowners for 50, 60 years each. They're been around, and we're going to miss them. We already do. And Support Connections is going to have a comedy show at the Elks on January 25th. It's a Sunday. It's at $35, and it's going to help support the Support Connection. So trying to push that, get them a full house there. And last but not least, the usual library. Everybody go to the website. They offer everything from arts and crafts to movies to programs from infants to adults. So, again, Happy New Year's. Lanny, welcome to the board. Appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome. We're going to miss Lou. We can welcome you. That's great. Okay.
And just to hit, a lot of these things, are on the list. But I think that Streetscape is coming up at the February work session. I know John has the results of the survey, so we should be looking at that.
Can't wait.
Comprehensive plan, the planning board is meeting on to talk about the suggested path forward on that. And Susan, when you spoke about the 118 Underhill, that is part of the streetscaping grant that we're looking at. We're looking at the entire overlay district here. We're looking at Main Street in Shrub Oak, and we're also looking at the overlay by Lake Osceola to see about those sidewalks and the pedestrian safety there. So we have three different shots on goal, but the priority is this overlay district, which is our entire downtown area.
If I understand that we're due to submit a pre-submission on January 15th, will you share that with the rest of the town board? I'd like to know exactly.
I have our planning department working on it with the grant people. So as soon as we have a draft,
I'd like to see it before it goes in.
As soon as I have a draft, I'd be more than happy to send it around.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. You had a poem from our poet laureate?
Yes. January 2026 by John F. McMullen. A new year and continuity, only one new member, and he's been there before. It should be a productive year, local issues important to townspeople, but not foreign invasions, healthcare debates, great population shifts, bread and butter issues, zoning, solar power policy, traffic signs and stops. Let's make it a calm, polite year and leave the yelling and hostility to the federal and state levels. Let's make it a good year in Yorktown. John F. McMullen.
Okay. Thank you, John. Hope you're doing well. All right. And then let's see. We have a proclamation today reaffirming the definition of anti-Semitism and reject all forms of bigotry, hatred, or discrimination of any kind. We've done this before. This started under Matt Slater. Unfortunately, it seems like Judaism is under attack right now, especially down in the city. The anti-Semitic crimes have risen to levels never there, and there have been hate crimes all over. So I think it's important that we reaffirm, and let me read this in. Whereas our nation was founded on the principles of religious freedom and the right of all people to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and whereas the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance has adopted a working definition of anti-Semitism to be anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed towards Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property towards Jewish community, institutions, and religious facilities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Yorktown reaffirms this definition of anti-Semitism and rejects all forms of bigotry, hatred, or discrimination of any kind, and be it further resolved that hate will have no home in the town of Yorktown. We are committed to promoting openness, inclusion, freedom, and mutual understanding by ensuring that everyone, regardless of their beliefs, may live free from the violence, harassment, or prejudice. We will make every effort to ensure Yorktown is a place where all people are welcome, included, and respected. You know what? I'd like to just have a vote to accept this, just for the record. Can I
I'll
have
make that motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys, and Susan. All right, for personnel, we'll accept the resignation letter received from Richard Falcone as Assistant Building Inspector from the Building Department. Accept the retirement letter received from Deborah Sarno, from the John C. Hart Memorial Library. Good luck to both of you. And we will reappoint John Campobasso as a member of the Recreation Committee for a 7-year term expiring December 31st, 2032. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Sarno is the town I was born in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. Never saw that.
I guess her family's from there, too.
It must be.
All right, we'll open the floor for public comment. Please remember, it's a 3-minute limit per speaker. You do not have to wait to courtesy the floor. To contact any of us, our phone numbers, emails are on the website, as well as our legal department, town clerk, and all of our department heads.
Get ahead of the crush.
There you go.
Jan Mirchandani, Yorktown Heights. Thank you all for your reports this morning about things that you're going to be focusing on for the coming year. I wanted to kind of bring our attention back to the 485B law, which was mentioned really over a year and a half ago now, as being something that we were going to reevaluate and take a look at, about whether or not that was really, it wasn't me.
Time's up.
That was not me. So anyway,
5B is a very powerful issue.
I know.
There we go.
Okay, I only got like 10 extra, 30 seconds. Anyway, so 45B law, I really would like to see that on, see it evaluated in terms of what we're giving away versus what we're getting. And then also, it was mentioned several times about the streetscaping. For anybody who didn't see the last planning board meeting, I was very disappointed to see that the developers for the Underhill Farms project are rolling back what they agreed to for the 4 crosswalks at this very important intersection. They were granted essentially the overlay district because that was going to improve the walkability. And now we've got a main intersection, and they're saying, well, it's too expensive. Susan just outlined what the rents are going for. They're going to be making a boatload of money, and they owe it to this town that is investing in them to invest in us and make sure that they are doing what they agreed to with the project plan, and make sure that we have 4 usable, walkable crosswalks at that intersection. Thank you.
Good evening. Happy New Year. I just want to mention 2 events that are coming up this month. Oh, by the way, Sarah Wilson, Yorktown Heights. Sorry. First, our quarterly Yorktown Repair Cafe is a week from Saturday on January 17th between 11 and 3. All the details, all the information about the Repair Cafe are on the town community calendar on the town's website, including a link to sign up, so hopefully that minimizes wait times. This month, we will again be offering knife and scissor sharpening, which is really popular when we get the guy who has the right equipment. And also, it's an opportunity for technology help one-on-one to bring in your devices and get help with whatever your issues are. Our stats show that almost 2,000 items have come through the door, and our success rate is about 70%. So that's a lot of items that we've kept out of the waste stream, and a lot of new purchases that have been avoided.
That's awesome, Sarah.
Secondly, our friends at Race Amity of Northern Westchester and Putnam will be holding their 4th annual Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Beyond the Dream event. This year, we'll be exploring what Reverend King had to say about wealth, poverty, and economic justice. The event will include readings of Dr. King's words, and then we'll encourage frank and thoughtful discussions about what we've heard. Of course, we'll have music and refreshments. The event takes place from 1 to 3 p.m. on Monday, January 19th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, at Grace Lutheran Church at the corner of Curry and Gomer Street. And of course, all are welcome. And I have information if anybody wants it.
Is that a flyer?
Yeah,
I'll take a copy,
okay.
please.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Can you send this to Robin, too?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good evening. Larry Killian, Yorktown Heights. First, congratulations to Ed, to Sergio, and to Lanny for your election to the board. Welcome to the new session. I have two suggestions on the solar law public hearing scheduled for later this month. First, the December version of the proposed law should show in red changes from the current law. For example, Section F1, prohibition in residential zones, and Section L, grandfathering, are not highlighted as changes from the current law, and they should be. Second, it would be a perfect time to update everyone on the RFP for solar projects. We are years behind neighboring towns in using solar to reduce expenses and increase revenues. What is the timeline and scope of the project? Will Granite Knolls be included? This would be a perfect time to get a new contractor there. I also want to follow up on some statements I made at the December budget hearing, that the addition of more than 400,000 square feet of new retail space in Yorktown has reduced and is continuing to reduce the value of existing retail space. For example, the value of the JV Mall, reassessed in April of '24 with $1 million+ reduction, was directly affected by the opening of Lowe's and its pods. Lowe's, as Sears used to do, sells large and small scale appliances, tools, plumbing, paint, kitchens, lawn tractors, snow blowers, barbecues, and Lowe's added two major additions not affected as much by online shopping: lumber on one end and a garden store on the other. The value of the JV Mall was greatly reduced by new retail space added just minutes down the highway. We can't stop developers from developing their property, but it makes no sense to give them tax breaks to do projects that they plan to do anyway. The 485B policy should have never been adopted and needs to be scrapped. A perennial New Year's wish of mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Dan Strauss, nearly 60-year resident. Happy New Year to everyone. I haven't been picking up litter for the last 2 years in town like I did for the previous 10 or so. I wanted to thank those who have picked up the slack. There have been a few bags here and there, the orange bags. Other people have stepped in. I appreciate that. Wanted to thank the Highway Department for the job they're doing. I wanted to thank the Refuse and Recycle Department for the job they're doing. There should be no large-scale ground-mounted solar arrays in residential zones. I've said it before, I will say it again, and there should be no grandfathering. That's what you did with 2 other projects that came before the town a few years ago, and it's wrong. I'm not sure if that cell tower that you want to, or somebody wants to put up on Granite Spring Road, there's There's two signs that this is being considered across from Crystal Lake. Is that where you want to put that? That's where they want
That's
to
a
put
site
that.
that they want to put it, yes.
That is outrageous. That is the most beautiful spot in that area in the whole of Yorktown. In that area, in the whole of Yorktown. It's outrageous that you would even consider that. And you were supposed to get alternate plans. A lady mentioned that, one of the advocates who was against it, to revisit different options. And don't let the attorney spin everything for that developer. I believe there should be meetings more frequently because important issues get pushed back till 10 or 11 o'clock at night when older people cannot even stay. They can't stay awake. They can't focus. And maybe even younger people can't. The meetings are too long. The initial presentations that you make, too long. The public should have more input. There should be, as far as I'm concerned, 4 courtesy of the floors. It's only 3 minutes. Even at a work session, you could throw in a little courtesy of the floor. I think that would be a terrific courtesy. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Hi, Michael Hickens, Yorktown resident. Happy New Year to everybody. Good to be back. Good to see Dan back. It's been a while. Don't agree with everything he says, but I admire him very much. I wanted to touch on 2 subjects that have already been discussed, but since I had prepared remarks, I don't want to waste them. The first is around fluoridation. It was once viewed as a communist plot to poison the population and take over the government, and later as a cause of cancer and AIDS. There's, for whatever reason, RFK Jr. has set his fangs into fluoridation. I understand that a judge issued an injunction about it, but it wasn't an injunction against fluoridation in the water. He simply told the EPA to go back and study some more. That's why fluoridation exists almost everywhere in the country. No one, I wouldn't say no one, but 2 or 3 municipalities that I know of have suspended it. I think that we shouldn't let ignorance and fear overrule the known benefits of fluoridation for all. In light of this, I hope the board reconsiders its suspension. On another topic, the cell tower that Dan referenced, I was contacted by someone a couple of weeks ago who was really alarmed and worried that the decision's already a foregone conclusion, that the board is going to or has already approved it. So it would be nice just for the public record if you would sort of restate where that stands in terms of public comment and the debate, and when a decision will be reached. Thank you.
Good evening, Ken Belfer from Mohegan Lake. First of all, congratulations, Ed, Sergio, and Lanny, on your reelection, and Happy New Year to all. I just got an idea from the last speaker. Maybe fluoridation would kill blue-green algae in Mohegan Lake. I know you have a resolution on the agenda tonight about Mohegan Lake, and it is about products that we use to knock back the blue-green algae blooms. So it is the standard thing that we've been doing for years. I would love to see us move away from it, but we would have a lake in very poor condition right now if we did. December 30th, finally, we filed permits with DEC for something that hasn't been done in New York State yet, which is a lake bottom injection system of natural bacteria that eats away at organic lake bottom muck. And Mohegan was measured to have 20 feet deep of soft organic lake bottom muck in the center of the lake, which is just a well of nutrients to feed blue-green algae. So we're hoping DEC will approve the permit. The town has done everything that they needed to do. We had public hearing, you gave us the wetlands permit, and now the ball's in DEC's court. It's been 2 years of working with them to get this pathway, but there's no guarantee they'll approve it. Also, we're exploring something relatively new, which is the use of ultrasound. Apparently, there are devices that give out ultrasound waves at the frequency that disrupts blue-green algae. Blue-green algae is very unique in that it can decide when to stay at the bottom and float to the surface, and it does so by just getting like a gas bubble that it attaches to itself to float up and then release it to float down. And apparently the ultrasound waves disrupt its ability to have those gas bubbles adhere to themselves. So we're researching that now to see. It's being used and studied near here, and we may want to do a pilot at our lake this season. And last of all, we're very actively engaged in legislation in Albany, in both Assembly and Senate, on nutrient inactivation using chemicals such as alum that bind phosphorus, which is our main problem, the accumulated high levels of phosphorus in Mohegan. So I'm hoping we'll see some traction on that legislation in 2026. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ken.
Happy New Year, all. Anthony Pichette. I want to talk about a couple things tonight. First, at a prior town board meeting, the police chief came before this board requesting funding for a Motorola tech project that we've discussed. During that presentation, many were left with basic questions. From the public's perspective, it felt like the town was being asked to move quickly on a significant expenditure without a clear understanding of what the system does, why it's needed now, and how it would improve public safety in Yorktown. At the following meeting, Councilman Esposito and Councilman Murphy, who both have tech backgrounds, took time to explain the purpose of the project. I appreciated their efforts to provide additional context, and also to Councilwoman Siegel for pushing for more questions. Even so, many residents, the explanation still did not provide the level of clarity needed to fully understand how the tech works, mostly because we don't have the experience of these two council members. Or how its effectiveness will be evaluated. We also learned that the supervisor had met privately with the police chief, makes sense, to discuss the project in more detail. That information or what was discussed would have been nice to have a discussion in public as best as it could. As a result, the public was asked to accept a major spending decision without having access to the same information that the board relied on. When residents raise their concerns, the conversation can often shift to just simply trust that this is what the police need. But trust is strengthened by transparency, not by limiting discussion. Asking for clear explanations of major public expenditures is not opposition. It's a basic expectation of accountable government. If a project is necessary, effective, and responsibly planned, then it should be explainable in plain language on the record and before a decision is made. What I'm asking is that when a significant police spending, or any major spending, comes before this board in the future, the full explanation is shared publicly so residents can understand the decision and have confidence in it. That's how trust is built, and that's how this town moves forward together. Part two. I want to talk briefly a separate issue regarding the Granite Knolls parking area. At a previous meeting, and this might have changed, I heard that approximately $200,000 was allocated to pave the gravel there, though I'm not certain whether that work has been completed. I don't think it has or even started. Right now, the unpaved rocky surface near the playground naturally slows traffic and clearly signals that children are present. If that area is paved, drivers will obviously go faster. That's simply how people respond to smoother roads. We often talk about safety and keeping kids safe in this town. This is one of those moments when our actions can match our words. Instead of paving, those funds could be used to fix some warped ground surfaces on the playground, address wear and tear, and make the playground itself safer and more welcoming. This decision matters. Once a road is paved, speed increases and the risk goes up. I urge the board to pause, reconsider this plan at Granite Knolls, and choose the option that puts children first, not cars. Thank you.
Anyone else for courtesy of the floor?
Good evening. My name is James Mecca. I'm here tonight to thank Ed for all your help you did. I'm the president of Village 8 in Jefferson Village. In the month of December, which was brutally cold and windy, it's an old-fashioned winter, some of our condos lost heat and hot water. On Friday, December 16th, Con Edison came over to look at the problem. The person from Con Edison told me they cannot do anything until Monday because the town of Yorktown will not be able to get the permits required to do this work. At 3:30 p.m., I called Ed. Ed got on the phone right then and there and told Con Edison he would send all the permits over within 30 minutes. And that's what you did. He did. And my fellow condo owners did not have to wait until Monday to have their heat put on. I've been living in Jefferson Village for 8 years. In those 8 years, Ed, Matt Slater, Tom Diana, may God rest his soul, and Sergio, in the years he has been in office, has always been a tremendous help to Jefferson Village, but also and to all of Yorktown. Once again, Ed, I want to thank you. I want to wish everybody have a good night. God bless America and our great military who defend our country. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, James. Anyone else? All right, motion to close courtesy of the floor.
Hold on.
Oh,
Motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'll just hit a couple things. Jim, least we could do, and I'll also send a big thank you out to our building department for getting that done, because they were actually at that point getting ready to close up. John Landy, our building inspector, actually had to go out Saturday morning for the blue card, and then I believe you had another issue that they were able to help out with as well in some of the permits. So thank you to our building department, and we're here to facilitate and see what we could do to help. That's one of the main purposes of the board. So thank you for that reaffirmation. Anthony, actually, Sergio had gone to the meeting at the police station that they had. I could not make it. I had someone from my office, and that is the information Sergio relayed back. That was the information we had on it, and yes, it was a lot quicker than any of us would have liked. But in conversations with the chief and with some other police chiefs within the county that have gone to the system, it's sort of like you don't want to be the last man standing when the bill's coming, because the company that we were using, they've lost 90% of their clientele. So when they go out and belly up, and then we're scrambling without a proper system, that would be the biggest issue. And that was what sort of pushed the accelerator a little bit on this
Can I
too.
add a little bit to that?
Sure.
So Anthony, I just want to help clarify it. We went there. The system's aging out. So when it eventually ages out within the next 2 years, we're going to have to pay this money anyways for the new system, whether it's the existing system that we have or a new system. So it's aging out. In that meeting, there was Briarcliff, there was 4 or 5 other police departments, and they're trying to make a consortium to make one financial decision with all of them, because that's the avenue where the software and the towns are going. I asked, is it cloud-based? Because it makes sense to have it cloud-based. But I think the police departments want it server-based for the mere fact that they want to be able to not be handcuffed when all of a sudden Motorola goes, well, you know, the maintenance is $20,000 a year, but now that we have everybody in the cloud, you can't say no. So they can go, well, it's $120,000, and I'm making up numbers. But the idea was they wanted all the police departments, local police departments, wanted server-based. Their old system is still going to sit right next to it. They're going to be able to access the data just as fast as they are now. But going forward, they're going to start off with a cleaner database. They're only going to bring in pertinent information into the new database and not take all the garbage. So it's not garbage in, garbage out. So I hope I clarified it a little bit clearer for you. And that's what we based the decision on, was they're going to do, the consortium comes together, we're going to save a ton of money. After January 1st, it's going to go to, was it prescription-based?
Subscription.
And the same setup is going to cost us probably about another $500,000 above that cost. So that's what we helped base our decision on, that the technology is going down that path, and we're just going to be, we're going to stay ahead of it. And our system is aging out. There's a couple other police stations that are behind us that they have 4 or 5 more years on their contract, but they're still going to make that, they're going to still make that leap and go ahead with the Motorola.
Yep. All right, and then as for the paving, I know there was a plan with the solar canopies that didn't happen when the company failed, but I don't think there's money set aside for the paving, and I think it's a little more than $200,000 because it would have at Granite Knolls, because it would have to be a pervious pavement, which is much different than a regular pavement. Ken, thank you for the work at Lake Mohegan, and you are tireless on that. It is a huge asset to our town, and I know that your work has been making a difference, and I hope as we get the waterfront revitalization reinvigorated, that we're able to really make some strides all around and get some government assistance on the local waterfronts. I spoke about the fluoridation before, and just I know the RFK Jr. was thrown out there, but the ruling actually came from a Democrat judge way before RFK was in office. So, it has nothing to do with the viewpoints of one person, the political parties that he follows now or before. It has to do with, as spoken before, the judge's ruling, and then looking to see. And I've always said that we will revisit once the rulings come back. So, but we're going to wait for that to happen. I will be looking also to put something online. I'm going through the timeline, the process of the cell tower, and all of that, and put that out. They had looked at other sites. There was a whole site selection. But if you go onto our website, there is a survey that was done by the county for all of northern Westchester back in, actually, I believe 2018, Lonnie, because I think you were here when it came to the table. And it talks about all of this, the sites, the weaknesses, and then there are also laws that are involved. So I'm trying to put all of this together into something we'll post on the website and hopefully mail to the residents in that area, so they, so they could see and have some of their questions answered, and maybe it opens up more questions. But the survey is a great thing to look at, and there'll be a link online. There already is, but there'll be a link right in our letter about it. For Larry, I will see. I thought that the red line version was online for the law changes.
I'm not sure. Whatever we were given is what we posted.
All right. I don't know if Adam is still with us on the screen here, but we will check into that and make sure. For the solar law, was the red line version put up in December?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Can we look at it and make sure?
I think the red line was sent,
You think the red line was sent? Okay, well, let's look into it tomorrow if we can. I would appreciate that. And then the the JV Mall, their devaluation came from their inability to hold anchor stores. Sears was gone way before Lowe's. They were in decline. They went into bankruptcy. A couple of owners back. So, they sort of mismanaged that mall back in the day, and that's really what cost them. I don't think that our economic system says, if we have a Sears, you can't open a Lowe's, or we have a Home Depot, you can't open a Sears. We have a free market economy, and I think that's important that we realize that and follow through with that. So, but I believe also, Sergio, was it 450 square feet filled, not new, correct? Wasn't it?
Larry's saying new.
Yeah, but it was 100 and I thought it was only 150,000.
Yeah, you're right. I think it was 300,000 square feet that got filled off the top of my head, and I think there was 150,000 square feet that was
newly built.
That was new, but what do we do? Do we sit around and wait for? The whole concept of malls that has taken a hit in this country, all across this country, not just here in Yorktown. So, do we sit around and watch it, further deteriorate and not let anything else come in? We're not even allowed, we can't even prevent that. But, landlords are entitled to rent their property. So,
but I think
it's a dynamic. It's a dynamic. That's the dynamic of it all.
That may be true, but I think we need to visit whether the 485 is
Sure.
is
What I'll
something
do,
that
I had them before, but it's a new year, so I'll look at the numbers. Everyone talks about what was waived in their taxes. They never talk about what was gained, because it's half of the new taxes are put off on the first year. Then it drops to 45%, then 40%. But that means that 50% of the new taxes are coming in, 55 and 60. And the school actually had the option to opt out, and they thought it was good for the economy to have that, to have these stores, to have people want to live in Yorktown. That's why they went on board with it. I am looking. I've contacted all of the old members of the incentive board. Unfortunately, 4 of the 5, well, 1 passed, and the other 3 of the 4 cannot commit at this time. So I am.
I'd like to see a nonpartisan group put
Absolutely.
together.
Well, I think it was very nonpartisan the last time. It
I'm
was
just
Democrats,
saying,
it was
right,
Republicans, but the most important aspect were there were people in business, in real estate, in malls, in contracting. So it was people who understood, and they were able to discuss those. So.
Yeah, the other thing that needs to be looked at is the blanket statement that they were going to do it anyway. I keep hearing that. I don't know how we know what other people are going to do. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to do or how I'm going to vote on things, because I mull things over and take this job seriously. So sometimes I'm not really sure how I'm going to vote on things until I finish hearing from the public and kind of consider things. So the statement again and I think we do need a serious conversation about it. I agree with you, but the statement that we're going to do it anyway, so why are we giving the money off? I don't know how people could say that and actually know what these builders and contractors and companies are going to do. And so, that's an unfair statement as well. So I think there's a lot of confusion that gets drummed up on both, from both angles. And I think a conversation can be had. I don't see a problem with it.
And I will say I'm living that right now, where I'm looking at locations to move my studio down in White Plains, my massage studio, and Carol and I are negotiating with the different landlords. And a lot of it is, what tenant improvement money you're going to give us? How, what are our taxes? What are these? So, even just for the small business to move in, there are a lot of questions there. And, trust me, it's not a gimme, because I have a spot that's a home run, and I'm still looking, because I'm looking for a better deal. So contractors do the same thing. Where there's a plot here, a plot there, they buy it sort of on a consignment type of thing, where if we don't do anything with it, we just pay X amount and we're gone. So there's there's a lot to that, as Sergio said, that goes in, and especially the bigger the projects, the bigger the decisions. And then for the 118 Underhill, the streetscape stuff that needs to be done, we are looking at in the grant. But there was a decision made back when this whole thing had started. It went through planning, but apparently not the planning board. The state asked for the contractor to do a phase 3 option, which were the mast posts that are out there now that were put up. So when you look at those mast posts compared to the crosswalks are about half of the value of what those mast posts are. So in order to get the mast posts done, which would have been our responsibility in phase 3, I don't know if everyone remembers, we were going to phase this out and look at, as other developments came in, to have them jump into that. Unfortunately, with the phasing here, what the DOT was like, we'd rather see the mast posts up and the mast lights running before anything. So that decision was made, and it was a value way, there are crosswalks throughout that do work, but our intention is to get that done and to make sure, and we're the next people in town looking to do something that they need approvals, we will look for, and that's how we try to save taxpayer dollars.
With regard, Ken, you had mentioned something about legislation dealing with the algae and some of the wording. If I'm not mistaken, years ago there was an issue, and it was sort of crazy, that you were using some sort of products, and because it killed the algae, they classified it as pesticide. Did you have a recollection of that? If there's something that we can do to help you in that regard, either from a legal standpoint or letter of recommendation to try to change some of that legislation or the language, please let us know.
I have some comments. Just on the 485B, just one additional comment to what was already said. Obviously, we do have to revisit this, and I think the issue that has never been discussed is whether we want to target, instead of having a blanket 485B, any place in town for any kind of, and it's only for commercial development, it's not for residential, that we target it to say this is where we're really looking for development. So that's one of the issues. Regarding the sidewalks, I just want to clarify some things. It was the town board that made the decision to cut the number of pedestrian crosswalks from 4 to 2. The planning board had it in there. It had nothing to do with the DOT. DOT approved the plan. The planning board was surprised when they learned that only 2 were being done. It was the town board that changed its mind, and that's why I voted against the award for that. The issues that the supervisor brings up about phase 3 and masks, I'm sorry to say this, but to me they are red herrings. The town just didn't want to have, they already agreed to split the cost with the developer, and the town just wanted to keep the cost, limit the cost, and that's why they didn't want to do it. And that's why I'm very anxious to see what is included in this grant that they're going for. The grant application is due, I think, in March, but the preview submission is January 15th, and I'm very interested to see the specifics of whether the 2 additional crosswalks will be in that. Sarah, again, just kudos to the Repair Cafe. I've said this before, but I'll say it again because it bears repeating. Every time I turn my lamp on that you guys fixed, thank you. All right. Larry, on the solar, I agree that whenever the changes in legislation are put online, all right, the changes have to be highlighted, and the whole law has to be put in, noting the changes. In the past, sometimes the proposed law only had, was changing Section 12, but you had no idea how it fit into the rest. So that is very simple. The town board gets the red line. It should be posted. Dan, I just want to say welcome back. It's good to see you again. All right. Michael, on the cell towers, I believe that we are planning to reconvene the hearing on February 3rd. Am I correct? I think that's what we talked about at the
Third
time.
of the
Well, at any rate, the hearing's not closed.
Yeah, the hearing, no decision has been made, and we're going to reconvene the hearing. Ken, I just, again, want to reiterate what Ed said, and thank you for all the work that MLID does. The Mohegan Lake is a critical asset to the community, and without the work that you and all the volunteers have done over so many years on an issue that it's very difficult to figure out what can be done. So good luck. Anthony, on the Motorola police issue, the total package was something in excess of $900,000, but the initial software change was a little over $700,000. The town board basically had 1 month to decide that. That feeds back to what I said earlier about the need for a capital plan. We suddenly took $700,000 from a capital plan, which hadn't been expected, all right? I'm not saying yes or no that it was the right decision. That's a separate issue. But we need to plan out. Yes, there'll always be unexpected issues, but that's why we have to plan out on that. And I think those were the only things I wanted to say. Thank you.
So, are you me? So, just going back to the whole software upgrade for the police department. I mean, that was a real need, and any capital plan that you have that would not have been included in it. So, and you're right, they do come up. There are things that come up that are unexpected. I would tell you that that's probably one of them, because there's been a fallout with the current system that everybody's using from a lot of other agencies. At the meeting, there were plenty, and Pat was there as well. There were plenty of other agencies there considering it, and the consortium got us a better deal because we all went in as a group. So it's kind of like a group discount, and we all locked in for quite a number of years at a very reasonable rate. Now, will they be going cloud at some point? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's probably what's going to end up happening. When and if that happens, our rate is secured, right? So we shouldn't see anything there. But I looked at the software. I spend a lot of time in other police stations. That doesn't sound right, but as a sheriff. So we typically convene at the police stations in the jurisdiction that we're serving on that particular detail, and you get to see how other police stations work as well, and there's noticeable differences, especially from my eye as an IT guy, and so I think leading from the front with our PD is something that is you don't compromise that, and this is leading from the front. As far as the cell tower goes, I haven't decided on anything. I don't know where people are getting that. What I'm getting is I'm getting feedback from both sides saying, hey, say no, please, we don't want it, and other people that say, hey, we really need it. I haven't gotten anybody that said, why have you decided already? So I don't know where that's coming from. I haven't seen any feedback like that. I have seen a lot of feedback for pros and cons, and I understand the fear as far as a cell tower in your backyard. I get that too. But going back to a comment and an analogy I'd like to make that Ken made, we need to destroy the blue algae, right? And in order to do that, New York hasn't approved of these new methods. Whether they're going to be effective or not, that remains to be seen. Either way, there is no other natural alternative except to use these chemicals. So what do? Well, you make a hard decision. You balance the benefits of using these harmful chemicals versus the benefits of killing the blue-green algae. And that's the same decision in type that comes up time and again when you sit up here. And you have to weigh your choices. There has never been something that I had to vote on where it was crystal clear It was like, yep, there is absolutely no harm to be done if we decide this, or there's no repercussions, there's no positives, and there's no negatives. It's just the right decision. That just doesn't happen. And so, what we try to do is we try to deliberate, and we try to figure it out, and we try to weigh the pluses versus the minuses, and you come up with a decision that not everybody's ever going to be happy with. You're never going to make everybody happy. That doesn't mean you don't strive to try to make everybody happy, but in most circumstances, if not all, someone is always not going to like the decision you make. And so that's a challenge that we have up here. That's a challenge that any decision maker has. You don't necessarily have to be an elected official to have that challenge. It's challenges that you have in business. Do you fire one guy because you have to meet certain numbers, or or do you keep them on to the detriment of the company? I mean, these are decisions that everybody has to make that are in positions where they're decision makers. And so that's what we're trying to look at. So if anybody asks you, we haven't decided anything. Well, I'll speak for myself. I haven't decided anything on the cell tower. There are a lot of positives to having that cell tower there, and I looked when people were here at the public hearing, which, again, has not been closed yet. People were using their cell phones to speak to us about anti-cell towers, so, and that's fine. But there is a real need. There is a communication issue in that area. I've gotten my ear chewed off from people that were like, you have to vote yes on it. So it's a tough decision. It's a tough decision. There are a lot of pluses and minuses. And no, I haven't decided on it yet.
Thank you, Serge.
I have one quick thing. Just to reiterate what you're talking about, our job is to sit up here. We listen. We listen to the developers. We listen to the people. We listen to other boards, the planning board, the zoning board. We take it in. Navajo, we listened for over 10 months before a decision was made. But we listen. That's our job. Before everybody can assume that everything is rubber stamped, but we sit here and we listen. That's our job.
I'll even add, we listen on the street.
Yeah,
I have a neighbor who it was right around Thanksgiving, suffered a heart attack, and he fell on the floor in his house, and he was able to get out his phone, and he was able to call 911, and he credits YVAC and Empress for saving his life, because it was that serious. You think about the fact if you pull out your cell phone and you don't have service, that's what a lot of people talk to us about. I had a fire in my house. I had someone with a medical condition. So it's not just a simple, hey, it's aesthetics. I don't agree with what the government says about the waves coming from it and what it uses. There's some real serious implications to not having cell service, as was pointed out. So, it is a very difficult decision, and we listen to all, and then end of the day, you try to make a decision that you can put your head on your pillow at the end of the night and say, I made a good decision, and go to sleep. Sometimes you don't, but you just have to be able to do it with a clean conscience. All right. Thank you all. We will go into our resolutions. I know which one you want separated, Susan, so I will separate that one.
And you know which ones I want to separate.
Oh, I know you want one of them separated. How many others do you want separated?
Well, I have questions.
Well, let's
No,
go
I just
through
have
them.
questions on some, but
Okay,
I don't want to
that's
separate. But
fine.
I have questions.
So stop me as I get there for your question, okay?
Okay, on the first one, I have a question.
Okay.
The vending machines.
Yep. So we did an RFP. You
Yep.
remember? It came back. The results are here. The vending company that we want to award the bid to came in with I want to say it was 36%.
Yeah.
Why am I not finding my page? Is this,
On page 2.
yeah, no, I don't.
It happens to go on to page
Distributors
3.
Vending Corporation.
Yeah.
It goes on to page 3.
Oh, here it is. It's at the top. Yeah, Distributing Vending Corp. It came in 30%, 36% of the gross money brought in, and then we had Kristen in Refuse Recycling because they handle buildings too with Phil. Did some. Actually, might have been Suzanne. It was either Suzanne or Kristen, but they did the research. Called up for a couple references on that company because I wasn't convinced, and they got stellar reviews. So, does that answer what you were looking
Yeah, my
for?
only question is where are we planning to install these, and is it an open-ended thing? Are we talking about 2? Are we talking about 5? Are we saying we'll start with 2 and then if we
No,
like them we'll go more?
I think it
don't
was
know.
2 or
That's all my-
3. There are a couple of spots that we are looking at. We have to look at the feasibility for the electricity. We want to do that with the company since they'll have a skin in the game.
What spots?
We're looking downstairs by the gym, like 114, I think, or 14, room 14 in that area, and possibly up by the Parks and Rec office in that hallway or staircase are the 2 spots we're thinking.
That's all I
At
wanted.
any rate, if it's a good company and they got good reviews, 36% of gross.
It's
It's
when
gonna
you-
it'll be considerable.
But when you look at the different deals that we were given, 36% is certainly the best deal, and the vetting checks out. As they say, I have no issue,
Yep.
against it. I was at the Yorktown YVAC building recently, and I noticed they had a vending machine right there.
Yep. All right, so
It's not peanuts. I mean, unless there are peanuts in the machine. But,
resolution to award requests for proposals for the provision of vending machine services of the Albert A. Capellini Community and Cultural Center to Distributors Vending Corp. Inc. Authorize the comptroller to pay Jonathan Stock the cash value of unused time as of his date of resignation. Authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer for the Parks Department, and this is $44,000 for a report on the dam at Sparkle Lake.
That's good.
Which is required by law.
Yes.
The dam has to be inspected every 10 years, and we are beyond the 10 years at this point.
Yeah, we're getting it done.
Yeah.
Where are we?
You skipped the one
Yeah.
about the improvement district.
That's not-
Just kidding.
Award the request for proposal and authorize supervisor to execute a contract with Stahl Holdings LLC DBA The Pond and Lake Connection for 2026 Lake Mohegan aquatic pesticide treatments in an amount not to exceed $58,985. Authorize the town clerk and deputy town clerk to attend the 2026 New York State Town Clerk Association Conference and training meetings in beautiful downtown Albany, New York, from April 19th to the 22nd.
Good luck with that one.
Set the public hearing date for proposed local law considering amending Chapter 300 of the Code of the Town of Yorktown entitled Zoning to amend in its entirety and replace Section 381.4 entitled Solar Power Generation Systems and Facilities, and that will be on Tuesday, January 20th, 2 weeks from today. Renew Sani Pro Disposal Service Corp. DBA Suburban Carting Company Commercial Garbage License for 2026. Renew Oak Ridge Hauling LLC Commercial Garbage License for 2026. Authorize Wesson and Sampson PELSLAPC to perform a wetland delineation verification for the 3766 Foothill Street application. From Refuse and Recycling, authorize Refuse and Recycling Department to purchase one 2026 Kenworth T480 tandem axle garbage truck at a price of $315,173.75. and that's with funds appropriated in the 2026 budget code SR 7210-0200 refuse and recycling equipment. All right, can I have?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, for organizational resolutions, authorize and direct supervisor to pay regular biweekly salaries of all elected and appointed town officials. I'll take a no vote on that right now if anyone wants to.
Second.
I'm going to recuse myself.
Right,
Smart.
we won't recuse ourselves.
All right, approve a mileage rate of 72.5 cents per mile for town officials and employees who use their own vehicle in performance of official duties. Direct supervisors to submit the fiscal report to the state comptroller and town clerk within 120 days after the close of the fiscal year. Authorize the town comptroller to make refunds for corrections of errors up to a maximum of $2,500. Authorize the supervisor to make applications to the New York State Division of Youth for a Recreation and Youth Service grant. Authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Norwest.
Can you stop here? If you could explain, I think the public should know what Norwest provides, what it provides and why. And then also, I have the same question. Could you just provide a brief description of why we have an agreement with the sports clubs, and if you can remember what the dollar amount is, and again, the agreement with the senior clubs, what those are for. I think these are expenditures, and I think the public should know what we're spending their taxpayer dollars on.
Sure. So Norwest is an organization that works with individuals with disabilities. They offer services, day services, evening services. They have Special Olympics. They have trips, transportation, and they work within the disabled community to try to assist in having more activities, functions, and most important, socialization times for these individuals.
Yeah, we can't pull that, so.
Authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with the sports clubs. So Shrub Oak Athletic Club and the Yorktown Athletic Clubs are clubs that work with children that are residents of Yorktown in sporting clubs. The town has supported them since the inception. Matter of fact, there's been discussion within the clubs of them wanting the town to run them through Parks and Rec, like a lot of different organizations do. Not sure we're at that point yet, although I have instructed Jim Materano to look into that, because they have done it. They do something similar in Cortland, but it becomes a lot more expensive. So we have put some money, and I don't recall the amount of the contribution towards that, but it helps in the management of the systems for that and for our youth.
But the YAC and the Shrub Oak, primarily, it's all volunteers.
Yes.
That coach it, run it, everything. So if it came onto the town's books, we're going to start paying.
Well, we'd have to start just administer the programs. I mean, we could still have volunteer coaches, but we
get
would
it,
be
but what
the
if you don't?
administrative costs.
Well, what if
Right,
you don't?
but we'll also have to put someone that's a bear in itself. So you would add to salary,
Yes,
right?
That's the trade-off that's been every year. But
They also come back and do some improvements to our fields on their dime. You know,
I'm not
so.
questioning. I just said I
No,
think
we're just discussing it, man.
people should need the explanation of what the agreement is and why we give them money, and we give them money in lieu of the town doing this function.
Yep. All right, and then authorize the supervisor to sign agreements with the senior clubs. There are 5 clubs there. I think the amount was, Patrick, you were talking to Rich?
So Rich De Silva, he's one of the gentlemen that coordinates all the travel for these clubs.
For the Jefferson Village ones.
No,
For all of them, you're right.
he does
Yeah,
them all.
he does, yeah.
So he coordinates the buses for these day trips for the seniors. So that's where this money's going from.
And-
It's
Well-
primarily it's for transportation.
Yeah, and it is all volunteer as well. The money doesn't go to Rich for doing the job. The money gets put towards each group, towards their transportation expenses, So it makes it easier for those on fixed incomes in our senior clubs to be able to go on these day trips that they will do.
Yeah, it's for the seniors.
It is for the seniors. That's why it's the senior clubs.
I was reading that. I saw that.
Okay.
With
You
both
don't,
eyes,
you
too.
don't qualify for it yet.
All right.
I'm not qualified for it. Susan says I'm not qualified.
Not yet.
Thank you. Thank you.
But the rest of us at the table.
Close.
All right. Designate delegates to the New York State Association of Towns meetings held in February. Be resolved, Councilman Patrick Murphy is hereby designated the alternate delegate, and I am the voting delegate. Designate depositories for the town of Yorktown as listed below. And be it further resolved that Edward Lachterman, Supervisor of the Town of Yorktown, authorized pursuant to Town Law Section 29-2 to act on behalf of the Town of Yorktown with said banks. Be it further resolved that the above-named banks are hereby required to provide a surety bond and pledge securities when applicable as required by Town Law Section 64-1 and General Municipal Law Section 10. Be it further resolved the following banks are designated depositories for the following officers of the Town of Yorktown: J.P. Morgan Chase, Justice Raniello account, Justice Cohen Pearson account, and the joint bail account, Justice Cohen Pearson and Justice Raniello. Authorize a blanket authority for supervisors to sign contracts up to the amount of $12,500, not to exceed $50,000 in a calendar year. Authorize the superintendent of highways to purchase equipment without prior approval in the amount not to exceed $7,000. Designate the Journal News and Yorktown News as the official newspaper of the town. Susan, do you want me to skip this next one?
No, this is one that I just wanted to bring up, and I think it was Dan who brought this up about the number of work session meetings. I think, as you've heard some of the discussion here, there are a lot of issues that this town needs to discuss. And again, to the point about the length of the meetings, and that as we sit here and I see more and more people leave, and sometimes we get to the substance late at night, and the few diehards are here. And I think if we had 4 meetings, at least initially, to get through some of these critical issues that are on our agenda, not just my agenda, but Sergio has issues, and I'm sure Ed, as supervisor, knows even more issues that I may not even know about, that he's keeping tabs of, that he has to bring to our attention, that we should start out, at least for the beginning of the year, with that 4th meeting, that 2nd work session, so we're not here till 11, 12 o'clock at night, and we get some work done. Some of the issues have been pending for a long, long time and need our attention. So I'm not going to vote against this, but I strongly urge the board, as I think I urged it last year, that we get back to this 4th meeting.
Thank you, Susan.
I think we need it.
All
We
right.
want to get our
So
business done.
designate the 2026 meeting dates of the town board as listed below. And I will take a vote on those.
I'll make that motion.
Since the 4 paragraphs underneath that also designate certain dates, can you do that one?
Sure. Oh, you know what? I was going to look up, and I didn't get a chance earlier. The 5th and 6th of the Thursday, Friday.
Oh, and if you're talking about those, can we have the budget meeting go back to 7:30? I don't know why it's 6:30. I think that's,
Been the same time for over 10 years, Susan.
yeah, and I think I objected to it when it was when that change was made. I think
The request was made
it's
to
a
make it
disservice to our residents and makes it much more difficult for them. They're coming home from work, they're having dinner, and I think I never understood the rationale. I have a feeling once it was done, so there used to be big Christmas parties, at that time when corporations had more money, and I think one board member wanted to go to a Christmas party, and I think that's why it was done earlier.
A suggestion, compromise and make it 7 instead of, rather than, 6:30, but.
Second that.
I'll agree with that. I'm willing to compromise. 7 o'clock?
I'm fine with it.
Fine with that. That's
Diana said that they made it earlier due to requests from the public.
Good move,
So-
Lenny.
All right. And then, so can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Diana wanted me to read these, I'm sorry. Be resolved, the town board will meet with its department heads to review the budgets on November 5th and November 6th. Be it further resolved, the town board will hold its regular budget hearing at 7 p.m. on December 1st, 2026. Be it further resolved, the town of Yorktown will hold its annual records management inventory on February 5th and February 6th. And be it further resolved, special meetings shall be called and held in conformance with Section 62 of the Town Law and Article 7 of the Public Officers Law. And I will state, just so you know, records management will mean the town hall will be closed.
Several town departments, yes.
Several town departments. All right. So we had a motion?
One more time. Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And then Supervisor Edward A. Lachman announces his personal appointments as follows. Cindy Smith as Executive Assistant to the Supervisor. Councilman Sergio Esposito as Deputy Supervisor to serve during the absence or inability of the Supervisor to act or while the office of Supervisor is vacant pursuant to Section 42 of the Town Law. Sergio, please arrange to get sworn in with Diana. And then Supervisor Lachman also appoints the following liaisons to various boards as listed below. And we do not need motions on those. Once again, Yorktown, very happy New Year. Thank you from all of us sitting at the table for the votes of confidence to run the town. And I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good night, Yorktown.
Good
Night,
night.
guys.
Good night,
Night, girls.
everyone.